Good morning or good evening, dependent upon where you are. My name is Gary Height, and I'm the program lead for Emphasis. I'll be supported by our offshore team. I want to start by thanking everyone for allowing us to present to you today and taking the time to consider what follows. In the room are key members of IT who are led by CIO Mandar, Program Director Mangesh, and the Program Manager Sharon. The PR business unit is represented by the program director, Ed, the IT director, Angel, and the other core members of the business unit. Also in attendance today is the PMO led by Yogesh. I believe that some of you may know this, but Mandar told me that this was the largest IT project GE Appliances has engaged in since the early 2000s. It has taken 2 years to this point and is slated to complete approximately a year from now and has engaged over 500 resources. The purpose of today's meeting is to give you an update on our findings, and based on those findings, we plan to make several recommendations for the successful integration of the Puerto Rican business unit into the North American ERP solution. We plan to cover 3 points during this presentation, and I encourage you to ask questions as they arise to make this more of a discussion rather than a formal presentation with a designated Q&A session at the end. So unless there are any questions at this point, let's begin. As I said, we intend to make 3 points and finish with our go-forward recommendation. Point 1. If we continue down the present path, the PR business unit will have to live with another unique ERP solution, as they have for the past 10 years and for the foreseeable future. The facts that substantiate this conclusion are as follows. The corporate mandate is to use the NA solution. Our current path would create a unique ERP environment, which is contrary to the corporate mandate. Creating a unique ERP environment would require retrofitting Chemleys, APIs, and data conversion routines when the North American solution was completed. A significant amount of work would be considered throwaway at that point. We will not make the current go-live date of January 27th, 2020 under any scenario. The scope we discovered during our analysis is considerably larger than in the SOW. The current project plan does not have enough time for coding and testing without the additional scope that we discovered. Under this scenario, the team will not meet their objectives of time or cost, or adhere to the corporate mandate of one ERP solution. Insert the following visuals. So, as you see on this slide, we have the 4 dependent systems that we are waiting for the completion of to call the North American ERP solution complete. Systems 1 and 2 to be completed at the end of Q1, and systems 3 and 4 to be completed at the end of Q2. And then the additional scope we found were 100 clarifications, requirements, and/or gaps. Additionally, we found 16 extra integration points where we only had 16 to begin with in the SOW, and we found 2 additional EDI transactions. And none of these coding efforts are going to be trivial. And let me stop at this point and see if there are any questions on point 1. Point 2. If we stop the program now, we will lose valuable momentum and intellectual capital. From a time perspective, the restart of integrating the Puerto Rican business unit would begin in the Q3 of 2020. That in turn would affect the go-live date by pushing it out at least 9 months in order for us to both ramp up the new consulting team, which we estimate at an additional 3 months, and to fully test and certify the integration into the North American ERP solution with all affected BPOs and IT SMEs. From a cost perspective, this would increase the budget by over $3 million to accommodate the additional time and bringing in and ramping up a full consulting team. Let me stop there and see if there are any questions so far. Point three, if we continue the current program, we will have to increase both the timelines and the budget. That will require a new SOW due to increased scope, increased timelines, and increased costs. We will have to develop a flexible staffing plan to ramp down resources now and then up as each of the 4 remaining solution components go into UAT. We will have to revise our current project plan to coincide with the go-live events for each of the remaining solution components. The net effects of this alternative are only a 6-month addition to the timeline due to the fact that we will not have the additional 3 months required to ramp up a brand new consulting team. Costs will increase by $2 to $3 million, $2.3 million. By using a flexible staffing model, we would ramp the consulting team down to the essential resources needed to complete our analyses and begin coding and testing the known Chemly's APIs and data conversions. We would ramp up as each of the remaining solution components started user acceptance testing, or UAT, to give us time to ramp up the new consulting team members. The final solution will be simpler and less complex to both maintain and support, which in turn would reduce GE Appliance's annual spend on the new versus the old ERP solution, and it will be fully supported by Oracle, which the Puerto Rican solution that is currently in use is not. You can see on the Gantt chart the revised timelines. You can see on this brief table the revised budget that will be required. And then lastly, you can see the staffing plan that we're going to put into use to best use the flexibility of Emphasis resources. Given the 3 points above, we would like to make the following recommendation. Please feel free to stop me at any time, as it is imperative that we are all in alignment on the way forward. Our recommendation, given all the facts, is that we continue the program, thereby meeting both the revised budget and timelines, and most importantly, the North American solution will be easier to maintain and significantly less costly to support and maintain on a go-forward basis. In conclusion, we have recommended that we continue the analyses and other work efforts towards the successful integration of the Puerto Rican business unit into the North American ERP solution. This will allow us, with revisions to the schedule, to finish on time, finish on budget, and reduce costs going forward. With your blessings, our next steps are to revise the project plan, revise the staffing plan, revise the project budget, and revise the SOW with Mandar, Mangesh, and Sharon, taking into account the projected go-live dates of the 4 remaining solution components, increased costs, additions to scope, and a more flexible staffing plan. If there are no further questions, I'd like to once again thank you for your time today and wish you a wonderful rest of your day.